On November 24, 1863, thousands of soldiers fired rifles, charged uphill, and fought hand-to-hand, without being able to see the enemy. Some couldn't even see the ground beneath their own feet. This was a real battle of the American Civil War, so obscured by fog and low cloud that men later swore they were fighting inside the sky. History remembers it by a name that says everything: the Battle of Lookout Mountain, also known as the Battle Above the Clouds. The year was 1863. The place was Chattanooga, Tennessee, a critical railroad hub during the American Civil War, after a devastating Union defeat at Chickamauga in September. Confederate General Braxton Bragg had trapped Union forces inside Chattanooga. High ground surrounded the city. The most dominant feature was Lookout Mountain, a massive ridge rising over 2,000 feet above the Tennessee River. Whoever controlled Lookout Mountain controlled Chattanooga. By November, Union reinforcements arrived. Overall command went to Ulysses S. Grant. One of his subordinates was Major General Joseph Hooker, ordered to attack Confederate positions on Lookout Mountain's western slopes. The Confederates defending the mountain were led by Major General Carter L. Stevenson. On the morning of November 24th, the weather changed everything. A thick blanket of fog and low cloud rolled in from the river valley. It clung to the mountain sides. Visibility dropped to just a few yards. Artillery on the heights could not see targets below. Officers could barely see their own regiments. Despite this, Grant gave the order to advance. At around 8:30 a.m., Hooker's troops crossed Lookout Creek and began climbing the mountain. They moved along narrow paths, steep slopes, and rocky ledges. The fog was so dense that units frequently lost direction. Men fired at muzzle flashes. Commands were shouted into the white void. Union soldiers later reported hearing Confederate voices close by, but seeing nothing. The fighting was brutal and confused. Confederate positions were meant to stop any frontal assault, but the fog neutralized their advantage. Cannons placed on cliffs were useless if the gunners couldn't see. Small groups collided unexpectedly. Skirmishes erupted and vanished again into the mist. At several points, Union soldiers advanced without realizing the enemy had already withdrawn. Around midday, rain began to fall. The fog thickened even more. Observers in Chattanooga could see nothing of the battle itself. From the city below, they only heard the echo of gunfire rolling out of the clouds. By late afternoon, Hooker's men had pushed the Confederates back toward the summit. Then, as suddenly as it had formed, the fog began to lift. Union troops found themselves standing on the mountain, victorious. The Confederates retreated during the night, abandoning Lookout Mountain entirely. Casualties were relatively light by Civil War standards. APPROXIMATELY 400 Union and 1,200 Confederate casualties, including wounded and captured. But the psychological impact was enormous. The next day, Grant launched attacks on Missionary Ridge, breaking Bragg's army and lifting the siege of Chattanooga. The Union now controlled the gateway to the Deep South. The Battle of Lookout Mountain is remembered not for its size, but for its setting. A battle where soldiers fought almost blind, where strategy dissolved into chaos, and where nature erased the advantage of high ground. Veterans said it felt unreal, as if history itself had vanished into the fog. Today, historians still study the battle for one reason. It proves that in war, technology, position, and planning can all be undone by something as simple and unstoppable as the weather. Above the clouds, the fate of a city was decided.